It's the Under the Ring Report. And now, the only two wrestling fans in the world who absolutely understood everything that came out of the Ultimate Warrior's mouth, John the Flesh Wound and Cousin Tom.
And welcome, wrestling fans. We're back with the Under the Ring Report. This is John the Flesh Wound, and with me.
Hey, this is Cousin Tom. Glad to be back with you.
All right, man. And I think this episode, we're going to get woken. What do you think?
Yes.
Either that or it'll be really bad and we'll delete it.
Yeah. Well, that'd be excellent.
Yes. So I guess, I mean, what are we? 8 months into the Hardys back in WWE.
Let's see, April, yeah.
Yep.
WrestleMania.
So you know, they've been there getting close to a whole year, and it looks like maybe we're finally going to get Broken Matt Hardy or some version of that, I guess.
Well, I wonder how much we're going to get. How much is Anthem / Impact holding on legally?
Yeah, and that's the big thing. 'Cause I guess I've seen reports out there from different publications that talk about he's already got something out there to contest ownership of that gimmick. But people don't know if Anthem's going to waste their time with it. Do they want to go to court, considering all the problems they have? But evidently, it's to the point now where WWE doesn't care, because there was before that, you know, they backed off of it, and it doesn't seem like they care anymore.
Well, I have noticed, you know, since they came back in April, if you follow him on Twitter, there's always wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
You know, hints to the character without going into full gimmick. Mm-hmm. You know, but on the show, or even at WrestleMania, you know, you'll see him do the delete hand gesture, but he never goes all the way into it. That they make sure that they toe the line so as not to force any more lawsuits. But I'm wondering if there isn't maybe a time frame. I don't know how the lawsuit works, but I do know, you know, Anthem is only hanging on because they really don't have any other. At the time, that was the draw for Impact, was his whole gimmick.
Yeah, it was true. Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't know what's going on, if maybe they've given up or what's going to happen here. But it does seem odd, you know, because the last couple weeks, I was kind of worried about him because, you know, with Jeff out with an injury, it seemed like they didn't know what to do with Matt. And all of a sudden, it seems like they're like, okay, we've got a guy that if we do this gimmick right, he jumps right back into the main event scene. But I worry, though, it's been 9 months since even the audience that TNA had a chance. And if you think about, too, Ring of Honor, to see Broken Matt Hardy. So
right. Yeah.
How are WWE fans going to adjust and welcome this gimmick? I mean, I know we see the people do delete and all this stuff, but I'm talking about the regular fans, you know, the Roman Reigns fans, the John Cena fans, folks who don't venture into they only watch WWE, you know what I mean? Like, in their mind, Kurt Angle hasn't wrestled for 12 years.
Exactly, yeah. He's been lost in another dimension.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I wonder, how this gimmick's going to play for them. That's where I'm kind of trying to figure out where we're going to go with it.
Well, I think if they go with it, they need to actually go with it and not do this deal where they go with something for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden they scrap it and start over and then pretend like it never happened. You know, I see that way too much now where, especially in the women's division, so-and-so feuds, and then the next week they're on a team together and they pretend like there wasn't a feud. You know, just ride something out for a change.
Well, and the other thing too, and I mean, I watched a lot of this gimmick unfold on TNA when it was there. It's out there. You know what I mean? It's some weird stuff, you know, with a drone, Vanguard, and his gardener, and you know, his son is a wrestler. It's out there, and it's something different that no one's done, to tell you the truth. But is the regular WWE audience going to get behind this? You know, they're behind the nostalgia of the Hardy Boys, and those fans who have watched them outside of that, I hate seeing them come to the ring in that old Hardy Boy music and crap, because that's not who they are now. So I want to know, you know, how's it going to work for people?
Well, for one, you're going to have your hardcore, and you always have your hardcore people that are just going to, you know, flip out when it happens.
Yeah.
But on the same side, it's going to be a WWE version of Broken Matt Hardy. He'll probably be called Woken Matt Hardy instead of Broken, it'd be my guess, from all the Twitter hashtags he keeps posting, but it's going to be a tamer, and hopefully they don't dull it down to the point where it's not as interesting. That was the only thing I ever watched Impact for. I never watched Impact when Flair was on.
Yeah.
Impact didn't do anything for me. Every time I turned it on, it's like, yeah, and there was quite a bit of good talent there, but I just never got into Impact.
Well, a lot of the writing was bad.
But when that gimmick started taking off, it's like, what is this? And then I started, paying attention.
Yeah. And that's where I wonder how much Vince is going to let this, evolve and turn into what it can be. Because I thought it was funny that Bray Wyatt, of all people, is the person that supposedly has woken Matt Hardy. But it doesn't look like this is going to be a feud. You know what I mean? Because that could have been something interesting. But Bray seems to be right now just an enhancement talent to do something to people when they're around.
Yeah. Well, and you think back on his previous runs, Hardy, that is, the previous runs that he's had in WWE, whenever he and Jeff would go individually, he would compete for titles somewhat and then would just kind of fade off. And then you'd lose track of him. And this might be a way, because I was with you on your thoughts earlier about, I haven't seen much of him, and, Jeff's gone, and what's going to happen. I was thinking the same thing, like, here we go. You brought somebody in at WrestleMania, and now we're not even a year in, and you're going to waste them. You're going to bury them.
Yeah.
And we're not going to see them anymore, and they're going to have to go back to doing independent shows to get their name back out there again. I'm hoping that's not the case, especially, like I said, if they stick with this and actually let him go for it and not try to hold it back.
Well, and right now, they haven't got anything else right now that's really wowing people. Raw on Monday night was, truthfully, a really bad Raw.
I think that was a libertarian rally in Knoxville for Kane.
Yeah, I don't know. The crowd was dead. That was
a bad crowd.
Yeah.
That was a bad crowd.
And I think that hurt the show more than anything. But everything that happened, surprisingly, Roman Reigns got a big pop. I can't believe it, but he got a big pop. But other than that, it was just, I don't know. Everything just kind of went slow motion. Some of the stuff going on made no sense whatsoever. And it was like they just kind of put a board up and just threw darts at different things. Says, okay, tonight, here's what's going to happen. We're going to let Balor get beat up by Kane. Then Kane's going to get beat up by Strowman. It made no sense. And Jason Jordan and all that at the end was just, I don't know. It was weird.
All I want to see is Matt to be broken or woken or whatever they want to call it, to come in and delete Jason Jordan, so I don't have to watch his whiny routine anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care whose son he's supposed to pretend to be. I don't want him off the screen for a while. Just give us a break. I can't. Doing right now is horrible. Horrible.
Here's the thing with him. He would have been better served to have been left on SmackDown and do a single thing there, because you can highlight characters and build them like Jinder Mahal, things like that, and build them up without people getting too mad. But the problem of it is that when you're picking Jason Jordan for main events and stuff over certain wrestlers on the Raw brand, which they are stacked, it's not really him that's the problem. It's people are just pissed that their favorite guys are getting overlooked as you're trying to push this young guy, I think. Because he's got talent, don't get me wrong, but he just doesn't have that it to be a top talent yet. I think he needs to learn that.
I think he could get there, but I think they're kind of rushing him along.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to jump us off topic, but it's just something that I would love to see deleted.
It happens. I'm with you. But you know what, though? If the Woken character does happen, do we get Brother Nero? Do we get things like that are from that universe? I don't think we're going to see his son in the ring, and I don't think we're going to see his wife involved at all. But the two of them could really make things interesting, and they wouldn't have to do tag team matches. You think about, truthfully, when Jeff Hardy comes back from his injury, he needs to be thrown in the world title mix. He really does, because that guy's still over, and I think throwing him in that mix gives you another top star and a former world champion. But if you put this whole other aspect of them there that people don't know, maybe that's how you change it up. And if Matt is let to do what he can do, there's no reason Matt can't be in that mix, or even in just the Intercontinental mix. Like I said before, I don't trust Vince McMahon. Let's put it that way. Because Vince McMahon is, well, here's what I mean, though. Vince McMahon has proven over the years, if he doesn't create it, he doesn't give a shit about it. And that's where I worry about this gimmick.
Yeah, well, and I would love to, I'm with you on the Jeff coming back after the shoulders all healed up. He needs title runs. I thought he was great as a Intercontinental champ. He should be in the main title picture. Mm-hmm. And I would love to see the, what was it they used to call it? The Expedition for Gold.
Oh, yes. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that I would love to see. Because, you're talking about two guys that have held titles in every major faction in the last, almost 3 decades.
Easily, yeah.
Decades. I mean, ECW, WWE, WWF, and then
and you've got to consider
TNA Impact, and then Ring of Honor. I mean, they've been everywhere.
Yeah, and remember too. I mean, even though it was what it was, but Matt was an ECW champion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's not a lot of people can say that they've done all that. I mean, they have done plenty in their careers, but I would love to see them both back and have separate runs, whether it's Brother Nero or not.
Well, and here's the thing to me. Those guys have beaten themselves senseless over the years, okay? And tag team wrestling, to me, has changed. I mean, you see guys now that are doing just stupid things in the ring. They don't need to be doing that. You know what? Get them out there and just put them as singles or have them as a team, but not as a tag team, helping each other win titles and what have you. And if they're going to do this Woken thing, that would be the perfect way. You could also bring Jeff back. If Jeff wasn't wrestling, Jeff could just be there and working with his brother, and I think that would be a great way to build that whole gimmick. But if they do this right, who would you like to see Matt have a major run with right off the bat with this character?
Right off the bat with this character, I would like to see him and Bray.
Okay. All right.
Just to start out with. And Bray's been a guy that they throw him in and then they throw him out.
Yep.
But I think it would help Bray also.
With the psychological games and everything as he tries to play games, but finds out that he really can't play games with someone like Matt, who's above that because he's heightened. His awareness is heightened.
There's all kinds of storylines there. I mean, it writes itself basically, just based off what Wyatt's done in the last 2-3 years, and then what we already know from Hardy. The two of them could play off of each other. I think it'd be pretty good stuff to watch.
That could be really interesting, to tell you the truth. I like your idea.
And we wouldn't have
Bray.
To see a Sister Abigail character.
Well, you noticed
where that crap was they tried to pull.
I think they just gave up on that because everybody just poo-pooed all over it, which is okay. You know what? Sometimes you got to admit you made a mistake, and I think they did. If I have to think of a couple people that I'd like to see him get involved with, I'd actually like to see him and Finn Balor kind of get going. Yeah. I just think that would be something interesting to mess with. Because you know how they did the Bray Wyatt and Balor thing? I think they could do that with those two and actually pull it off correctly. Because Bray, they've screwed Bray up so bad, I hate to say it. It's tough. Bray needs something to get him back. But I think that a Balor and Matt Hardy could be an interesting feud. It really could.
Well, and Balor, he needs to get over, according to Vince. So
yeah,
that might do it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right, so that's where we're at right now, waiting to see what happens with Matt Hardy. A couple other things coming up that I want to remind people. We're getting close, Tom, to the end of the year. So
yes, we are.
Being as this is the first year of the Under the Ring Report, I think we're going to have to kind of do a award show of some sorts. So we're going to have to think of some names of some awards and what have you. What I want people to out there who are listening to kind of think about, though, is later on, once we figure out the categories, we're going to let them vote and help us decide who we award our awards to. I think that's going to work for today's show. Thank you very much, and I feel enlightened.
Yes, my condition is very excited for what may happen in the next couple weeks.
I'm so good at the vessel inside of me has come back.
Yeah, I'm truly looking forward to this if they do it. I hope they just go for it.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening.
This is Dan the Beast Server, 3-time Ultimate Fight champion, and you're listening to Under the Ring Report.
Follow the Under the Ring Report on Twitter at UTRR Podcast. You can subscribe to the Under the Ring Report on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, or visit undertheringreport.com. Thanks for listening to the Under the Ring Report.